A rat accidentally burrows into a military-approved research facility, falling victim to an invisible predator. Dr. Sebastian Kane spends extra time in his apartment trying to reverse a process that renders living entities invisible. He watches his attractive neighbor prepare for an undressing event, but his excitement fades when the woman closes the curtains. His epiphany occurs while pacing the flat, and he tests it on a computer. Shortly after, Sebastian calls Linda McKay to discuss his success, but Linda tells him that Sebastian is no longer interested in her romantic life. He shows Linda a revolutionary recipe and asks her to prepare Isabel for a live test. Linda wakes Matt up and informs him that Sebastian has figured out the reversal formula, so they must rush to the lab. Linda suggests they travel separately to hide their relationship from Sebastian. Linda agrees to inform Matt about Sebastian, who rushes to Isabel's cage to put the invisible gorilla to sleep. However, the gorilla flees before he can administer the injection. Matt runs into Sebastian, who claims to have captured Isabel and initiates a $10 bet. When cornered, Matt tries to shoot the gorilla, but fails. Sebastian hits the ape, knocking her unconscious. Sarah checks Isabel's vitals and prepares the gorilla for the injection by tapping and dyeing its limbs. Sebastian prepares to inject Isabel with a serum, claiming he deserves credit. The serum enters Isabel's veins and travels to her heart, revealing her vital organs. However, Isabel's pulse rate and blood pressure rise, causing her to flail in agony. Linda shocks the ape with a defibrillator, but it flatlines. Sebastian requests an intracardiac injection, but Isabel's heart beats again before Matt can administer it. Slowly, Isabel's body emerges as her situation stabilizes. The study group celebrates their accomplishment at a fancy restaurant, while Sebastian tries to reconcile with Linda. However, she pulls away. Sebastian presents his findings to a Pentagon oversight group, but he cannot reverse the treatment, surprising Linda and Matt. He informs the committee that while the research team is nearing a solution, more time is still needed. Sebastian, praised by his previous instructor Dr. Howard Kramer, is a diligent researcher who is concerned about the government's potential replacement if results aren't produced quickly. He doesn't want to inform the military about their accomplishments, fearing the government would take over. Sebastian suggests conducting tests without revealing the results, despite Matt's reminders of rules. He believes that pursuing the project alone will increase their chances of winning the Nobel Prize. Sebastian returns to the lab and informs the team that he volunteered and they have permission to continue with human testing. He reminds them of their successful return of 7 apes in the last 4 weeks and emphasizes that human testing is the next logical step. Sebastian remains invisible for 3 days after performing the reversal, despite being told he can opt out. He injects himself with the serum from Linda, ensuring Linda won't be held accountable in case of a problem. Sebastian experiences tingling sensations in his arm after injecting serum into his vein, causing skin to melt and him to flail in agony. Emergency medical technician Carter places a defibrillator on the operating table, but his heart rate settles before shock. Sebastian loses consciousness and awakens after 17 hours. Due to intense glare, he asks Linda to turn off the lights, which she observes as translucent, allowing him to see when he closes them. Sebastian tests his invisible status by looking at the mirror. He then walks to the lab with Matt and Linda, where he is informed that if he needs anything, one team member will stay with him. The remaining team members are on high alert to return in less than 30 minutes. Linda informs Sarah that she will return by 8 o'clock and Carter will visit her at 6. Sebastian approaches Sarah while she's sleeping, making unwanted physical contact. Sarah wakes up to find her blouse unbuttoned and suspects Sebastian was with her while she was sleeping. She informs Linda and Matt, but advises them not to confront him. When asked about why he wasn't in his room, he explains he went out for coffee. The staff prepares Sebastian for a reversal 3 days after the operation, and when he begins to breathe heavily after receiving the serum injection, it alerts them to the problem. Matt and Carter restrain Sebastian after he escapes the straps. Despite his efforts, he kicks Matt in the face, throws Carter across the room, and stands up from the table. Sebastian collapses and loses consciousness. Matt performs CPR, and his pulse returns, and his body fades back into obscurity. When Sebastian wakes, Linda informs him he came close to death. They create a latex mask to make him visible, and he informs Linda he needs to make changes to stay invisible. Matt struggles to reverse the process without killing Sebastian, who becomes irritated after being confined to the lab for 10 days. After being examined multiple times, Sebastian decides to leave the lab. Carter, the only one keeping an eye on him, calls the team but is unable to stop him. He amuses two children by displaying his empty eye holes while driving. Linda requests Matt to visit the lab while she inspects Sebastian's flat. Sebastian returns home to find his neighbor changing clothes in a building. He uses his invisibility to get a better look at her, but she leaves the room. Sebastian pushes himself against her as she moves away. Linda arrives at Sebastian's flat and finds his clothing and mask on the bed. After a confrontation with his neighbor, Linda enters his apartment through the window. Sebastian waits for Linda to leave before returning to his house. The study team prepares to search for Sebastian outside the lab, with lab technician Frank Chase providing tranquilizer guns. Sebastian returns home to retrieve items, warning Linda that he will face consequences if he attempts to leave. Linda worries that Sebastian's invisibility is affecting his mental state, as he has been invisible for longer than animals. Sebastian admits to enjoying playing outside with a woman, but a lab simulation fails. Sebastian, a prisoner in the lab, is frustrated by his invisibility and cannot use it. Linda, who is not confined, claims he is not a prisoner. Later, he records a looping video of himself dozing off in bed using electrical equipment from the lab. When he visits Linda's flat, he learns she has been seeing Matt. Sebastian smashes the window next to the bed as Matt and Linda are about to make love. Frank informs Linda that Sebastian is in bed when she contacts the lab to see if he has escaped. Sebastian returns to the lab, enraged by an unseen dog's barking, and kills it by banging it against the cage walls. Sarah questions him about it, but he claims he was asleep. After reviewing surveillance footage, they conclude Sebastian never left the room. Linda, working from home, rushes to the lab to check on Sebastian, but finds him laying in bed on the video monitor. Sebastian, unaware of Matt and Linda's involvement in Dr. Kramer's death, attacks and drowns him in the pool. Linda tries to contact Dr. Kramer the next day but finds out he drowned the night before. The phone lines cut off and the security system prevents them from using the elevator. The study team discovers that their lab access codes have been canceled, and the team must find a way to escape the lab. The incident highlights the importance of communication and the need for vigilance in such situations. Janice Walton, a lab technician, falls behind while searching for Sebastian. Sebastian arrives and strangles her within 4 lines. Linda informs the committee about Sebastian's actions, but before Kramer can tell anyone, Sebastian confesses to killing him the night before. Janice's body is found in a locker, and Linda requests Frank to restore access codes for motion detectors. Matt and Carter prepare tranquilizer pistols as they spot someone searching for Sebastian in the hallways. Matt discovers heat from the vent, but Carter sees heat signatures behind pipes. Sebastian steals Carter while Matt is not looking and tries to shoot him but misses. Sebastian surrounds himself with heat, making Matt's thermal goggles useless. Matt searches for a fire extinguisher but finds it difficult to strike him. Sebastian punches and kicks Matt to the ground, but Linda intervenes to save him. Sarah discovers Carter has lost a significant amount of blood and removes blood bags from the refrigerator. She searches for Sebastian's footprints but is confronted and killed by him. Frank, Matt, and Linda search for Sarah, leaving Carter's lifeless body behind. When they find Sarah's corpse, Sebastian stabs Frank with a crowbar and locks Matt and Linda inside the refrigerator, stabbing him in the lower chest with a metal rod. Sebastian prepares to leave the laboratory, while Linda bandages Matt's wound and warms him up by starting a fire. He gathers ingredients for an explosive to blow up the lab and conceal his crime. At the elevator, he puts chemicals in a centrifuge and sets a timer. Linda stops him and sets him on fire with a flamethrower. After exiting the elevator, Sebastian restores his invisible status. Linda uses the last gasoline on the flamethrower to ambush and overpower her, but Matt saves her by using a crowbar to knock Sebastian unconscious. Sebastian is electrocuted after striking a fuse box, while Matt and Linda discover Sebastian's homemade bomb. They climb the ladder to the elevator, but the bomb detonates, causing the elevator to crash and damaging Linda's shoulder. The elevator halts before hitting Matt, and they climb the ladder again. Sebastian gives Linda a final kiss, explaining it's for nostalgia. Linda disconnects the elevator's wiring, and Sebastian falls to his death. Firefighters extinguish the fire, and Linda and Matt exit the flaming structure.